Hi guys, and welcome back to another video. So this time around we are building the heaviest battleship in history, Japan's largest battleship as well. It is of course the Yamato-class. So guys, this took me absolutely ages to get through, but like normal, building up the shape. Now this has a really interesting, I want to call it a nose, but it's actually a bow, but really interesting shape from there, and also kind of in the middle part of it as well, it really goes in, so you get these bits that are kind of sticking out, where you've got all of that armor plating as well from that until you get to that midline. So just putting in the base design for this one. Again, I really struggle with the back. The back for this one is so complicated because you've got those aircraft hangar kind of area parts of it. You've got these like little bays that have like almost Bond villain-esque doors that open up and have little ships coming out of them as well. I mean, it is an epic build and it's really cool design, and I got to learn so much from researching this one as well. There's so much that makes it quite a unique battleship, and actually they were really trying to get the weight down. Although it's the heaviest ever, they were actually trying to get the weight down on this one so it could be fast, and it was surprisingly fast for how much it weighed. So there we go, we got the main hull in there now. We're now putting in the deck. Now this actually has a sloped deck, which I thought was so interesting when having a look at this, and it's so that they could again lose some of the weight on there, and also you get this super firing position of course from the main guns, but also the secondaries as well at the front, which are directly behind those main big turrets as well. So me just smoothing out the hull now, getting this in here. I love doing this. It's actually quite therapeutic once you've got those blocks in there. Also allows me to refine the shape as well, which I did with this one a couple times actually, and in fact I'm not even done with it yet. Now the back, like I said guys, this is where I really struggled, but I was like, right, I've got to get this done, so I wanted to get this done early. It's got this kind of like dropped hangar in there as well, and it's got these other little small boats areas from the back, and it's all to stop the damage from those big guns that you've got on this thing. So 18.1 inch guns, the biggest guns ever fitted to a battleship. So we're smoothing out the back now as well, getting that in there, putting in some of the turret emplacement so we're kind of getting a rough idea. You can see how much that drops down on that deck. We've got the secondary guns behind that, and then we're on to the superstructure. This superstructure was so complicated, I did not realise until I started building it, and in fact I had to redo it a couple times until I was actually happy. Most of the time what I was trying to do was I was trying to figure out, okay, well, if we're going to put these guns, they're going to be this big, then they're going to need to have this space. Honestly, it was quite difficult to do. Definitely my most difficult superstructure. It's all one kind of piece. It's all not split up like, say, the King George V battleship, which is split into two quite neatly. So it's all one piece. Also, the smokestack is at an angle to make things even more complicated, and of course the bridge kind of tower as well is actually really, really tall if you compare this with other battleships. But really cool looking design as well. So getting onto the front details, putting in the Empire of Japan flag on there, getting in the chains as well. These get pulled in and then come out as well. Again, quite a nice unique thing and something I haven't done before, from what I remember at least. Continuing on with some more of these details as well, just filling this up. Now it didn't have loads and loads of stuff on this, which is quite good. I actually quite enjoyed that. It's quite sparse, but there's a lot of big details and a lot of guns on this one. So getting in that, speaking of the guns of course, getting in the main turrets. So these are absolute beasts of turrets. Huge armaments being added onto this ship. You can again see how much that's dropped down. It just means you don't have to have much on those kind of built up parts of it on this bit here, so it's always good. And you've got the anti-aircraft guns as well, two small ones on top of that one in the super firing position. And then we get onto these secondaries as well. So we've got the secondary guns just behind that, and that dropping of that deck allowed for these to fire over these ones as well. This is where it kind of differs. Most of the time your secondaries will be on the side of the ship and able to do a broadside, but on this, these are actually some cruiser guns as well. If you ever look up these as well on the good old interweb, you will find those out. So they are getting in those details on the side of that one there. Little bits and pieces now that we've got those guns in place. More anti-aircraft guns as well. Getting onto the back now, we're building up the hangar bay for the aircraft. So this I thought was really cool. Again, it's like super Bond villain kind of a secret base kind of stuff. You've got all of these really cool areas, and this is of course a quarter deck, so it's actually a dropped deck. You've got the small boats that then can come out of this. You've got this large crane that then can pick up those aircraft out of the water and also pick up the small boats as well. So it's a dual purpose. And what you can notice as well, because it's dropped down, that means that the guns at the back can continue firing at pretty close range as well, which is, and without risk of damaging anything, because of course those shells will be very heavy and going very fast as well. getting the catapults on the side of this one, as well as some of the small details on there. You've also got this wing that kind of protrudes out. Now this was really cool. This is that door that's on the side here, and these are for the larger boats. And actually the top part of it that sticks out is also a bit of a crane, so they can then pull those out of those bays, drop them into the water, and they can also pick them up from there. I thought that was really cool as a design. Getting more and more guns on here, a couple of the anti-aircraft and some of the bigger anti-aircraft guns as well. So with this one I went with the 1945 version because it just looked so cool. There was just so much going on with this, so many guns. You could see that they had kind of learned from World War II, you know, what was going on in World War II, and really made some changes to this thing as well. So getting these in place, they're kind of like able to fire over each other on these ones. You can see me then tweaking that deck and really struggling with that, trying to figure out how big are my guns going to be here, what do I need to do to that to make that fit. So, you know, that was quite difficult. I did spend quite a bit of time on that, getting more of these other anti-aircraft guns in here and then just spacing them out evenly there. So we got all of that. Getting onto these bigger guns, these are like the tertiary guns. These are dual purpose, so they can fire at ships, but they can also be anti-aircraft guns as well. There's 6 of those in total as these bigger ones, and those are the armoured side of things. We've actually got unarmoured ones as well from this. More anti-aircraft guns, the smaller ones on here. One of them kind of pushed into the deck and one of them above it as well. A lot of the superstructure as well, to make it even more difficult, slopes inwards, so I had to account for that as well, make it all slope inwards, putting in some sensors here, going around and tweaking things, building up these other bits as well. So these are these dual purpose, but these are the unarmored versions. I actually did them very different. I'll chat about that a little bit in the tutorial when we get around to that as well. So you can see me building up these platforms as well, tweaking. If you guys are doing any sort of big scale projects, don't be afraid to tweak. You know, get the rough shapes so you kind of have an idea of where everything is in relation to itself. Go and tweak. So what I did with this one is I actually built from the outside in, because it's so layered. I wanted to get all the right details in there, and you can see me just tweaking things here and pushing things back and pushing things forwards, and just, you know, really playing around with it, getting rid of my original kind of rough guide and then kind of redoing that completely. With this back sensor, I actually did 2 tweaks to it. I made it really tall at first, and I was like, no, it's actually more squat than that, and I pushed the whole thing down by 2 blocks and then had to really squish it in there. Got another anti-aircraft gun at this top part of it here as well, and then we're going to get into some more sensors, and then the mast is actually behind this section, so we're going to put that in there now as well. And this mast, again, to make things more difficult, I love making this one difficult as a tutorial and as a whole build, was to angle the mast going backwards as well. I tried putting in some really large searchlights, but I did not like them, so I went back to my kind of typical ochre frog lights. You know, don't be afraid to play around with designs when you're doing ships and anything really in Minecraft. See if you can improve things, and if it doesn't look good, that's okay. Fall back. You've always got some good designs. Smokestack is now all in place. We've got some sensors on the side there. Now we're building onto the main bridge section. So this is such an absolute beast. We've got loads going on. You can see me just tweaking things in here, getting in some different sensors, playing around with some designs. There was so much going on in these bits. It was trying to figure out, how do I fit all of this in? You've got like doors there, this bit goes up. We got some sensors at the front now, and then there's another little bit that juts out on the side here. You know, all of that was really fun when I was looking at this and trying to just figure out how to do this. You can see my like rough design now as well, how that actually helped me to kind of figure out where I was. But like you just saw, I just moved everything up by a couple blocks as well. It just didn't look right. When I went back, I was like, I think I've got this wrong. I think I'm actually off by a couple blocks. It's taller than I think it is. And that's one of the things I found with the Yamato-class in particular, is that I didn't realise just how tall that bridge section is. So then we're getting onto the last bits now. That sensor, all of the bits at the top of that deck. Looking good, putting in the rigging now, final bits. But here you go, guys. Here is the absolute beast, the Yamato-class battleship. Japan's biggest battleship and the heaviest battleship ever to be created, ever to be built. It looks awesome. I'm so happy with how this one looks out, and it's just packed full of all of those guns. I absolutely love it. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed this video and you're looking forward to the tutorial. If you are, make sure to comment, like and subscribe. Also guys, please do check out my membership program. It really helps out the channel. But thanks for watching.